victims say they just feel trapped in an abusive relationship because they feel that they are just not enough. A belief that many survivors will tell you is an epidemic. Megan Fenyoe is here. She is a licensed mental health therapist. She's an author. She's also an Air Force veteran and a survivor herself.
Yes.
Megan, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, this is such an important topic to discuss as we are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yes.
You know this firsthand because you were in a relationship that did not go well.
Right.
And you felt like you were not enough.
For almost 6 years, I was in a narcissistic abusive marriage that even as a mental health therapist, I've been a therapist for almost 15 years, I had no idea that I was in the midst of this abusive marriage. I was even seeing patients that were survivors of abuse, and I myself did not realize it. And the I am enough, not good enough thought encompassed every part of my life, every single part of my life for almost 6 years.
Yeah. At what point did you finally say, enough is enough? I am enough.
February 15th of 2018, the last traumatic event happened, and I walked away from him and started writing my best-selling book, You Are Enough. And it wasn't until I was in the midst of writing that book is when I realized that I had been in a narcissistic abusive marriage. And the I am enough, the I'm not good enough mindset is so important because every single one of us have struggled with that, whether it be your health, career, relationships. We've all struggled with not being good enough. And once the book came out, I just wanted to give back more because domestic violence is something that is not talked a lot about, especially when it comes to narcissistic abuse.
And you know what? Something that oftentimes we tend not to focus on is, or when we think of domestic violence, a lot of times we think it's physical.
Exactly.
But it could be emotional, mental, and that sometimes is where it begins.
Definitely. And I think, there was some physical stuff in my marriage, but mainly it was the emotional abuse. And he never told me I wasn't good enough. I created that story in my head based on his actions and behaviors. And literally that thought led me to living this mediocre life for so many years. I just walked around with this mask on because, like you said, I did not have the physical bruises of abuse.
Wow. What would you suggest others who find themselves in that situation? Where do they start? How do they begin to get out of that relationship?
It's very difficult because people that aren't in that type of relationship don't understand. I remember when I was in my marriage, people saying, "Why don't you just leave?" And we're so damaged. It's so traumatizing. All I can say is to reach out to a mentor, a therapist, a coach, someone to just talk, start that process of talking and saying, I need help. And it will go from there. People can reach out to me. People reach out to me all the time just to talk. I want to be a resource to people, men and women, to help them believe that they're enough and to get out of those situations.
Megan, you're holding a card. I have one in my hand here. It says, I am enough. Tell me about these cards you created.
So this is what I wanted to do to give back. So about 6 months ago, I came up with this idea for the I Am Enough movement. And as a therapist, I talk a lot about visual coping skills and how we have to restructure cognitively the thoughts that we say to ourselves. So on the back of the card, it has this word because with 3 lines. And what I tell people is write why you believe that you're enough. Even if you don't 100% believe it, write, I'm enough because I got out of bed this morning. And when we have that negative thought of not being enough, when we read this over and over and over again, we're retraining our mind to not think negatively, and it takes the focus off that to what's on the card. And so I send these cards absolutely free all over the world. In 6 months, the cards have been sent to 25 states and 12 countries, meaning people have organically heard about the movement and have ordered the cards. I've been on KUSI before, and it just took off. When I left the show, people were ordering cards. They're absolutely free, and it's just a great way to spread the message. And I'm really excited. We the movement just became a nonprofit last week.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm
That's
very,
fantastic.
very excited.
That means that there'll be an opportunity for more money to come in so you can do more things like making these cards and run
spreading
some
it
sessions.
to people that
Sure.
maybe they need help getting out of a relationship. I want to be able to provide resources, for these women and men. And so I'm super excited about what is going to happen with the movement because of the
A
nonprofit.
worldwide movement, you could
Yes.
probably call it now. And I love the idea of just reaffirming and reading the positive affirmation because you sometimes have to put it into practice
Yes.
to mentally change your mindset as like you said, even though you may not believe it right now 100%, you're saying it, you're actively doing it, saying it, reiterating it, and it's going to start to change your mind.
And I still have to do it. Even though I'm this I am enough girl, I still struggle with that. I've got this card in my car, in my bathroom, all over because we still struggle with that, and we need that reminder. And so it restructures your brain the more you repeat the phrase.
Megan, you're much more than a survivor.
I'm a thriver.
You're a thriver. From survivor to thriver.
Yes.
You are enough. There is your book. You've got the I Am Enough cards. I see you're wearing a t-shirt. As we wrap here, how can people get in contact with you? Do you have a website?
Well, I've got 2 websites, but where you can order the cards is IamEnoughMovement.info, or you can go to my personal website, meganfenyoe.com. You can order the cards there. We've got the shirts for sale. You can see selfies from people all over the world sending this in. So super exciting.
Megan, thanks for coming back, sharing your
much.
story, and for trying to help others. Megan Fenyoe, there is an E in her last name, but it is silent. So thanks a bunch.
Thank you so
Talk
much
to you
for
soon.
having me.